In this video, we're going to do a performance summary of the DEKALB 112 and 113 day Double Pro and Trecepta hybrids. This is Chris Kallal, technical agronomist in West Central Illinois. The four products we'll cover in this video are 6253, 6357, 6391, and then the brand new 6289 Trecepta. Here's a look at how these products stack up versus competitive products. You can see we're boasting some pretty good yield numbers here. The orange line is the win percentage plotted against the right-hand side there. Again, this is a 3-year look at these products versus all competitive hybrids that are non-rootworm protected in a greater West Central Illinois footprint. So there's a little bit of Missouri, a little bit of Southeast Iowa, a little bit of West Central Indiana, all included in this geography. Here's a peek at the stability graph on 6253, and I've absolutely loved this hybrid ever since we launched it a couple years ago. It just seems like it's always been at home in West Central Illinois on more of our average, kind of more transitional rolling acres. And as you go east in the state, it just hasn't hung in there quite as well, and I think that has a lot to do with it doesn't really like wet feet, and as we get into some of the darker soils, it just hasn't performed quite as well. 6357 has proved once again here in 2020 that it's exceptionally stable across all yield levels. This hybrid has had tremendous performance for the 3 years that we've looked at it. No surprise to many that this is actually the #1 DEKALB hybrid in the U.S. Because of that broad acre adaptability, because of that high yield potential, because of that stress tolerance, because of those great agronomics. Well-rounded hybrid that does it all on about every acre. 6391 had another exceptional year here in 2020, proving that its performance in 2019 was not a fluke. From the get-go, we've positioned this hybrid on the average of the better acre to take advantage of its raw yield potential, and this stability graph explains why. You'll notice there in the graph that, as the yield environments climb north of 200, 6391 continues to get better. So we want to position this hybrid on our average to better soils. We had limited looks of our brand new Trecepta 6289 here in Illinois in 2020, but what we saw out of it we really liked, and it validated what we thought of the hybrid as we looked at the pre-commercial data as we were launching this product. Essentially, it's another one that does get better as the yield environment climbs, and in this particular case, I think it's got a little bit more stress tolerance than some of the other hybrids that we've got, specifically 6391 that we just talked about, but we want to position this hybrid more on our average to better acre to take advantage of that raw yield potential. So here I'm showing several hybrids compared to 6595. So 6595 would basically be that blue dot right there, dead center. Anything that yields better than 6595 would be above the horizontal center line. Anything that yields less than 6595 would be below that horizontal center line by the scale there on the left-hand side. Moisture works the other way, so anything drier than 6595 would be left of the vertical center line. Stuff that's wetter would be right of the center vertical line. So drilling in on just these four particular products and how they compare versus 6595, you'll notice that all four of them were within about 3 to 4 bushel, and with 3 of them being within about a half a bushel to a bushel under 6595. And all 4 of them being within about 3/4 of a point to just over a point drier than 6595. So really all 4 of these products are performing exceptionally well versus our lead volume Double Pro in West Central Illinois. Now let's drill down into the data and see how we might differentiate these products and how they truly separate themselves. We'll first look at 6253 and 6357. So in that tougher, more stressful acre that's going to have a 200 bushel or less yield environment, 6253 is carrying a slight advantage of about 4 bushel over 6357. As the yield environment climbs a little bit as we start to approach 220, those two hybrids are at parity with each other. And then as we go north of 220, 6357 is growing its yield advantage by about 2+, and it does start to approach about 4 or 5 as you really start getting north of that 260 yield level. So summarizing 6253 versus 6357, I think there's a fit for both of those products in West Central Illinois, but they do have some slight differences. 6253 is going to provide us a little bit better dry down and just a tad better stress tolerance on some of those really tough acres, where 6357 is going to carry a little bit better plant health, a little bit more stay green, a little bit more intactness into the fall with just a little bit more topside yield potential. So now let's look at 6357 versus 6391. I get a lot of questions from folks around how do we differentiate these two 113 double pros we've got in the lineup. Both are exceptional products, but as I would tell you is if your world is that 220 to 240 yield level, they're going to bloody each other's nose and trade paint every day, and one's going to win one day, one's going to win the next day, and there's really not much differentiation. But as you go north of that yield level, 6391 starts to take over and grows its yield advantage as the yield levels climb. And then as you go south of that, say 230 yield level, 6357 becomes a little bit more prominent, and its yield advantage grows as the yield environment falls off. So those two hybrids, I do believe, fit different acres, and they do both have a fit in our marketplace. While 6391 does have a slight yield advantage over 6357 at those higher yield levels, I would contend that 6357 still delivers the male in those higher yielding environments. And I say that because 6357 posts a yield advantage over most DEKALB hybrids north of 250 bushel. In particular products like 6434 and 6435 and numerous others. So don't discount it on those darker, higher productive acres. Thank you for watching and listening today. If you do happen to have any questions or want further information, feel free to reach out to us, and have a good day.